All right, we're joined by Republican Congressman Patrick McHenry now from the state of North Carolina, ranking member on House Financial Services, among those questioning the Fed Chairman Jay Powell in a lengthy hearing earlier today. So we'll try to get to that in a moment, Congressman. But first on the relief bill that might be coming, and the Vice President saying, as you heard, that that's separate from any talk of infrastructure. What are your thoughts on how this is all being put together, or the talk about how it's being put together?
Well, look, the House rushed, Nancy Pelosi and the House Democrats rushed a partisan approach with their bill that they passed a couple of weeks ago, $3 trillion of new spending. They're pouring money into failed social programs without any innovation or meeting the needs of where the American people are right now, much less the states. And so my view is that we have to measure twice and cut once. This is the last big bill that will come before the presidential election. So let's get it right. Let's make sure we understand the needs of education, of communities and businesses, so they can actually get back to work in a safe and effective manner. So what I'd like to see is pro-growth tax policy and regulatory policy that lifted the economy in the first 2 years of Trump's presidency and can lift the economy once again. And those are the fundamentals that I think need to be a part of this bill.
I'll ask you about one specific issue because I think it speaks to the differences between Republicans and Democrats in approach, particularly when it comes to economic incentives, and that's the debate that's going on over the enhanced unemployment benefits that may or may not be extended, the extra $600 that people on unemployment are getting. What's your view on what should happen there?
Well, I think we need to have measures that fit with the locality. I represent a lower cost area to live, and so a wage in my district may be wonderfully middle class, and in New York City, very, very different. So I think we need to have benefits that fit localities and the state's needs. And so I would commend to you the ideas put out by Glenn Hubbard and Tim Geithner today, where you have a measure of support and you support a percentage of a person's income and have it capped. Right now in my district, you can make $48,000 a year. Which is above the median income in my district, and do that on unemployment. So I think there's a limitation on our economy placed by habits that are quite frankly too generous for the expectation that people will go back to work.
Okay, so an extension, it sounds like, would be supported, but just not across the board at $600. Finally, we'll ask you one question about the Fed chairman. I watched some of the questions you asked today, and as I said, it was a lengthy hearing, his second day on Capitol Hill for Jay Powell. One of the things that I believe it was you brought up is that the chairman is committed, at least you think he is, to taking all these tools, and they put so much, they've thrown everything at the problem as they see it at the Federal Reserve, and putting the tools back in the toolbox when the problem is passed. You think they'll be able to get the timing right on that?
Well, I hope they are, and I think that's what I'll be pushing for. Look, the Federal Reserve came in as basically the fireman, right? An insurance policy or the fire department showing up to put the flames out. And they've done that. They've done that effectively in a broad-based way. It's lending. It's not government spending, and they've kept to those confines. And I think it's very important that when we get through this economic crisis, this health crisis that's now become an economic crisis, that we put these tools back away and only hold them for the most egregious of circumstances in order to save the economy and save the American people from enormous hardship, not for everyday uses and not for ideological games that a bunch of members of Congress really are interested in playing. Let's make sure the Fed sticks to its knitting, gets it right, and then pulls back so that the American people can live free and be happy and be successful and economically independent.
All right. As always, Congressman, thank you. Congressman Patrick McHenry from North Carolina with us. Melissa.
All right. Bracing for a limited